there's nothing that the Wildtrak has that a regular Bronco doesn't have from a suspension standpoint to make this better at high speed. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing a 2022 Ford Bronco Wildtrak. First and foremost, so a huge shout out and thank you to the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem, Utah for giving me some time with this Bronco. This one is available for sale right now. If you're interested, I'm going to put a link to their inventory in the description down below. Make sure you ask for Rick Elliott. Now, on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below as well. Let's get into the video. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2.7 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 330 horsepower and then 415 pound-feet of torque on premium gas. And I love the minimalist design of the Bronco under the hood. No engine cover, nothing. They're just like, here's the engine, deal with it. Now let's go to the front end of this Wildtrak. So first off, it's finished in Area 51, which is such a cool color on the new Bronco. You can see we've got the Wildtrak sticker there in the center. And then we have the cool bull bar here up front with the white Bronco logo. Camera there in the center of the logo. And then we've got the LED lights on either side. And yes, we have the off-road ready bumper. Tow hooks here on the front end. The Bronco comes with skid plates underneath for extra protection. And the thing that I love about this bumper is it really shows off. It's kind of hard to see because of the lighting, but it really shows off the shocks from the front view perspective. And I think it just looks really cool. It gives the Bronco this aggressive edge, but there's the front. Coming around the side here, we've got 35s wrapped around 17-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And I love the design of the wheel here on the Wildtrak because the wheel's all blacked out. And yeah, it just looks cool. Aggressive tread pattern here on these 35s. And then you guys can see here, independent front suspension with the Bronco. And we kind of already talked about it a little bit earlier, but we have the Bilstein position sensitive shocks. Don't worry, we will be talking about the Fox shocks that are available at the Wildtrak with the driving portion of today's video. But again, Bilstein position sensitive shocks on this one. And then you can see here with the side steps this one has, we've got the Wildtrak Sasquatch logo here, and then the mirrors that are fixed to the front and not the door. And then you guys can see the door handles match the mirrors, and set up there in the rear with the fender flare and everything. Looks cool, but love the stance on the Sasquatch Bronco. I mean, look at that. It's a cool look. So here's our key fob with the Bronco. We have our unlock function, lock, remote start, and then the Bronco logo here on the back. And then if you guys are wondering, the Bronco still does utilize a solid rear axle here in the back, as you can see, and then you can see the Bilstein shocks there in the rear. Recovery hook right here, and then opening this up, it has two compression points here with the tailgate. But it makes it a little bit easier to open it with that 35. This is not nearly as heavy as the tailgate for the Wrangler, and I know that because, well, I own a Wrangler now, and this can actually swing open pretty far, as you guys can see. And then just like a Wrangler, you open up the window that way. Storage space back here is great. It's tall. Notice that the cage here is also body painted just like a Wrangler, which is pretty cool. And yeah, when you're all done, make sure window first always. And then closing this is a lot easier than opening it because you don't have to worry about the multiple points of compression. But let's just finish things up with the rest of the rear. So again, you have that cool boxy design there. This one has the hard top, as you can see, not body painted, but I think this looks cool because it's kind of like two-tone in a way. You got the new Bronco tail lights here. And then again, 35 here on the back, you can see with the wheel. So yeah, there you go. Now this one has the kind of like grayish, creamish color interior. I don't know what else to call it. It's kind of like a sand color, I guess is a better way to describe it, rather than cream. What am I thinking? Anyways, here's the seats. You guys can see with the headrest how it folds down. It looks like funny when it's folded down. But we do have blue stitching here. Again, these seats are definitely interesting. This has the stadium seating, so the back seats are higher than the front seats so that the back passengers can see a little bit better. Got the window controls here in the center, power outlets, and I wonder if Ford is ever going to add vents here for the rear passengers. Just a thought. So again, we have the sand-colored trim here on the door panel and then the cargo netting down below. Blind spot monitoring for the mirror. And then here are the front seats again with the black, blue stitching, sand-colored on the bolsters. Power adjustments here on the side. Here's the pedal layout down below. Hood latch release, we got the parking brake right here, light control. Notice we have blue here with the Bronco logo. Let's pop in. So here is the steering wheel, pretty nice from a material standpoint, darker stitching on the center portion. Controls for the center stack voice command controls. This has lane centering, adaptive cruise control, all the works. And then you can see turn signal, windshield wiper stock, and there's the steering wheel. Here is the center gauge cluster. As you can see, we've got the speed there off to the side, and then we have this main screen here in the center where you can scroll through different bits of info with the Bronco. So like we can see fuel economy, for example. We can make it be a calm screen as well. But the most important thing is obviously the off-road status. Now we do have a bunch of different drive modes here at the Wildtrak. So we've got our normal, eco, sport, slippery, mud ruts, sand, and then Baja. We don't have a rock crawl mode because this is not supposed to be, the rock crawl package is supposed to be like the high speed package, but you can still rock crawl with this. But anyways, there you go. So here at the top we have our front and rear lockers, trail turn assist, stability control, hazard lights, no stabilizer bar disconnect. Got to get a Badlands if you want that. Here's the infotainment system. This one has the 12-inch display, so you guys can see here trajectory lines turn with the steering wheel, and then you got that bird's eye view. So from a camera system perspective, this thing is just absolutely amazing. Again, as a Jeep owner, I can confidently say that it is better from a camera perspective compared to the Wrangler, just because the screen is so much bigger, and so the viewpoint you get is better. Obviously the bull bar though gets in the way just a little bit. As for the rest of the screen, shortcut bar at the bottom. Main screen here, response time with that screen is fantastic, and then you have the auxiliary screen here off to the side, which you can scroll through several different menus, and blue vents, well, blue on the vents next to it. Pretty cool. We've got our analog controls here for the radio down below. Climate controls, it has a dual zone climate, heated seats, heated steering wheel here at the front. Wireless phone charger, and then a little charging port. Shifter for that 10-speed automatic transmission, couple of cup holders, and then our GOAT mode select. Notice it has our off-road cruise control, and then you can see from a drive line select perspective, it has 2-wheel high as well as 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low, and 4-wheel auto. Window controls here in the center with the mirror adjustments in the center. And then you can see with the center console. And then notice with the glove box, they don't have like a center grab handle like Jeep, they have like side grab handles. And then again, sand color here on the dash. And then finishing things up top, this one has the nice insulation here on the top, and then since it's a hard top, you can basically just take those two pieces off. The rest you need tools, and then we have our 6 auxiliary switches in normal Ford fashion here at the top, just like the Raptor. Now, if you want the most up-to-date price on this particular Bronco, check out Brent Brown Toyota's inventory in the description down below. Let's talk about the shocks now. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors, which you can do with blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And let's talk about some shocks. So the Bronco Wildtrak is a package that does and does not make sense, and Ford has attempted to make it make a little bit more sense by letting you upgrade to Fox shocks with this package, and let me explain. So first off, if you get a Sasquatch package, you get the Bilstein position sensitive shocks. So you don't need to get a Wildtrak to get these shocks that this particular Wildtrak has. And on top of that, the Sasquatch package gives you 35s just like this. And so there's nothing that the Wildtrak has that a regular Bronco doesn't have from a suspension standpoint to make this better at high speed. It just comes standard with the Sasquatch and the bigger engine. So that's the way that they make it the quote unquote high speed package. But if you get any Bronco with the bigger engine and the Sasquatch, right, then you have the same high-speed capability, right? So a Badlands is just as good at high-speed stuff as this Wildtrak is. But that's why Ford added the Fox shocks to this package, right? Because with the Fox shocks, it actually differentiates this. Now, being someone who reviews cars for a living and happens to own a Gen 3 Raptor and a Ram TRX that have the most advanced systems from both makers, Fox and Bilstein, here's what I'd have to say. And, you know, here's my advice with the Wildtrak. Bilstein shocks are amazing on-road, and they're great with huge compression off-road. But when you're just going over little rocks and little bumps and everything, they're a little bit too stiff is what I've noticed. And I've noticed that with these shocks too, because when I took one of these off-road and did some higher speed stuff, and you guys can kind of see it on road here, it's a little, like, just over the little stuff, it's just a little bit too stiff. But big compression, these shocks are great. They can handle so much, and like they're super durable. It's an amazing shock system. But from a comfort perspective, unless you have big compression, it's kind of bumpy. Now Fox shocks, on the other hand, they used to be the shock to get for off-road use, but for on-road use, no, because they used to not be great on road. But now they are. They're really comfortable on road. And then off-road, they're great with big compression, but then they are also really good with little bumps as well. That's the thing. So here's what I have to say. If you're gonna order a new Bronco Wildtrak, I would upgrade. I would get the Fox shocks with it, because it's going to be a little bit more comfortable on road, and they're the same shocks that they're putting in the Ranger Raptor. So like you're getting Raptor shocks in a Bronco, so it's basically like a, you know, quote unquote budget Bronco Raptor, because the Bronco Raptor is going to be more expensive than that package, and you know that's not even taking into account crazy dealer markups. But right, going over little bumps and everything, it's just gonna be a little bit smoother. So like your ride comfort down dirt trails and everything off road is gonna be a little bit more comfortable. And then on top of that, right, they're just better shocks, frankly, right? I'm not saying that Fox makes better shocks than Bilstein. I'm saying that the Fox shocks that they put on the upgraded Wildtrak package are more advanced than the Bilstein position sensitive shocks. These shocks are great, but the Raptor shocks that they put on this are better. So I definitely think it's worth it. This is still an amazingly comfortable vehicle without it. Still awesome. Like, this is amazingly capable, but that's how I would run with it. And the thing is, if you happen to already buy a Wildtrak, or if you buy this Wildtrak, I'm sure that Fox will eventually, I don't think they've released it yet, let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm sure they'll eventually release it to where you can basically, you know, just go and get it aftermarket, right? And just put those shocks in, and I would definitely do that. Even if you don't own a Wildtrak, like if you own a Badlands or any other Bronco, I'd do it. I definitely think it's worth it. And as for the Bronco driving, still, just like a Wrangler, tons of wind noise. But I mean, that's part of the experience. It's having all that noise. Yeah, so you can see over the bigger compression, it just soaks it up so well. It's just the little things in the road to where it just, yeah. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. And I think the Wildtrak package, it's awesome, even though it's kind of interesting, still awesome. That's gonna sum things up for our video on this Bronco Wildtrak. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Brent Brown Toyota here in Orem for giving me some time with this Bronco. Check out the inventory in the description down below. I'll see all of you in that next video.